Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel today. My name is Kim and I am a newly retired elementary school teacher in Japan, but I first came to Japan on the JET program. I was assigned to the most rural prefecture in Japan, Tottori Prefecture, and I arrived on July 31st. July is the month when a lot of new JET program participants will be arriving in Japan and beginning their year abroad, possibly 2 years abroad, or who knows, you might become someone like me who stays for a lot longer than you might be anticipating. All right, one of the things that maybe you've read about or you've been told is to bring small gifts. In Japan, they have something called Omiyage, which is giving souvenirs or small gifts. Sometimes it's an appreciation, sometimes it's to pay your respects to your coworkers or colleagues or people around you, and sometimes it's just sort of a thank you for letting you have that time to go somewhere else, and you're trying to share a bit of yourself with your friends and coworkers. Now, the first omiyage that you'll probably experience is the one where you're meeting your new workplaces for the first time. You might be asking yourself, what kind of things are good? How much should I spend? How many souvenirs should I bring? So in this video, I'm going to share with you a little bit of insight into some of the do's and don'ts, I guess, of bringing omiyage, what things are suitable, what things might not be so good, but actually, in my opinion, it's your gesture or it's just the action of giving a gift that counts more than what the actual gift is. All right, so let's first go over some of the people that you should probably be bringing omiyage for, or from, in this case, a souvenir from your home country. If you're assigned to a school, and some of you will be assigned to several schools, not just one, some of you will be assigned to a board of education, which will tell you which schools to go to. So it's kind of difficult to know exactly how many supervisors or how many principals or heads of schools you're going to have to consider. If you can, I would inquire how many schools you'll be working at, what types of situations you'll be going into, so you'll know how to better prepare. Most of the times they do already know your assignments. They might not have told you in detail yet, but I'm sure if you write as one of your questions for your supervisor, how many schools will I be attending? How many vice principals or principals will I be having? That might help you out. Another thing you could do is just buy in bulk and hold on to the items, because it's probably better to have extra emergency souvenirs on hand. That being said, don't sweat it if you don't have enough, because there are enough import stores now in Japan where you can probably buy actually the same types of things that you would give as a souvenir, and nobody would even know that it was from Japan, maybe. Usually in a school, you'll have your principal and vice principal. Principal is known as the Kocho sensei, and the vice principal is the Kyoto sensei. I know it sounds very similar, right? Sometimes schools have two Kyoto senseis or two vice principals, so you may want to check and see if that's the case in your situation. If you're assigned to a company or a board of education, you'll most likely have a supervisor that you'll be working under. Maybe find out how many supervisors you'll be having. You may also be assigned to a grade level group. We call this in Japanese a gakunen. So you might be sitting or assigned to a group of third grade teachers or a group of first year junior high teachers. It's important to kind of know which area you're assigned to, because that will once again be a group that you'll work closely with, and you may want to bring that particular group or the leader of that group something small as well. I know your list just keeps getting longer, right? I watched some other videos. I think one leader that is often forgotten is the jimucho, and that is the head of your school office. This person handles everything, and the office is taking such good care of your finances, your health care, all your tax stuff. So I think it would make a good impression to bring something for the head of your office. If you know how many office people there are, you can also bring them a small souvenir, or you can bring like something for the whole office, which I think is easier to do. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail a little later on this video. Another person that I think is often forgotten, but you could have really close relationships with this person depending on your own personal situation, is your health office person, your school nurse or your school doctor. A lot of times that may be the first healthcare personnel you come into contact with if you're not feeling well at school, or should you, heaven forbid, have an accident that might require intervention. Your healthcare or your health office will also be great people or great resources if you need to find medical care, dental care, or recommendations for something related to health or dental care or even mental health. They'll have a lot of resources that they can refer you to. So if you want to establish a good first impression, maybe bringing something small would be helpful. Some schools have guards or security people. There are usually maintenance workers as well. These are people that you don't necessarily have to bring them anything in the beginning, but as you work more and more at your school and get more acquainted with everybody, I think they're important people not to forget, especially when you're bringing gifts, because they may be in a different section and not in the teacher's room. And I just feel it's kind of nice to acknowledge and remember your office staff or the guard security people that are in their security booths with something small when you go on a vacation or you're coming back from a trip abroad. In addition, you'll want to pick up something small for your neighbors. It doesn't necessarily have to be something from abroad, but I think it's kind of a way to say to them that you're not from Japan or this is your first time in Japan. It's a good way to make a good relation as a neighbor. Once again, as when we talk more about actual things, it doesn't have to be anything expensive. It's just a gesture of introducing yourself and letting them know that you will be living either next door to them, above them, below them. It's just a way to establish a good connection. All right, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Kim, these are a lot of people. How am I going to carry this all in my suitcase, number one? And I'm already pressed for money. I don't have a whole lot of finances. I'm bringing a lot of my savings, to help me live in Japan. How can I spend all this extra money on gifts? Well, we got you covered. No, I'm not going to pay for your gifts, but there are relatively inexpensive items that you can give. You don't have to spend a fortune. Once again, it's the act and your actions that are speaking way more than the actual gift themselves. You could even, if you are crafty or clever, you can even just make a small card with your name, your country, and put it on a postcard. Postcards of your hometown or things that are famous in your country or hometown are perfectly acceptable gifts, and they don't cost that much. I don't think. I haven't been to the States for a while, so I don't know how much a postcard runs, but You can easily mat it on something and it becomes like a poster or a little print. Those are all acceptable. Sometimes if you go to your consulate office or your embassy or even just your Bureau of Travel Bureau. I can't say that word. Even if you go to a travel bureau, they may give you a free supply of pins. I know a lot of people from Canada that bring pins from their embassy. I don't know if we had them in Los Angeles, but you can buy just small pins. You could even make them yourself, like just a small badge or button. Other popular gifts are tea towels, small towels, or one of the things that I bought one year is I just went to a variety store and I bought those small spoons with Mickey Mouse on it or something that was significant to your home country. To me, like, I would never use them at home, but something that says California or Los Angeles was something special to my coworkers. I'm lucky because coming from California, there were a lot of things I could get from Disney, and going to an amusement park and getting certain erasers or anything stationery related. One thing though that I will say is Japan has a lot of stationery items, so you don't necessarily have to find things that are clever, but things like nice pens or even pencils with a logo on it that they can identify with your home country is often appreciated. Right now is not necessarily the time of year for calendars, but if you can find a nice calendar of your hometown, that would suffice. If you want to be a do-it-yourselfer, just take a nice photo of something that's famous in your hometown and make it into a calendar, or just laminate it and you can give that, and they could use it as either a wall decoration or a placemat. If you want to spend a little bit more on maybe the administrators or your supervisors, things that are probably appreciated are maybe a nicer home decoration. I know that some of the things that we might not think as being popular, but actually they are nice paperweights or something, a decoration that they can put either on their shelf or on their desk at school. Mugs are also nice, but the downside about these are they're heavy, they're breakable, and even though chances are your luggage will be well taken care of, you just don't want to risk maybe having it get broken in the shuffle. So a nice option to mugs are water bottles, water cups, thermoses. They're all popular now. And as cheesy as it sounds, sometimes going to your local airport will have souvenirs like water bottles or thermoses or water jugs, or even t-shirts or souvenir items that would be appreciated by your supervisors. Basically, it's kind of a status symbol to have something that they can't get in Japan, or that comes from your country and isn't something that's just a generic brand. If you follow trends, you'll know that Trader Joe's tote bags are really popular gifts. Any kind of tote bag or canvas bag is appreciated because now most people bring their own bags for shopping or to cart things back and forth to school, which is the nice thing about teachers. Tote bags are always appreciated. If you can get one of those Trader Joe's tote bags, a lot of the women love those. I know they just had that Easter one where they had the different pastel colors. That was a big hit. You can, of course, get these things on Amazon or Etsy, and people will pay big bucks for it. But yeah, I think those kind of gifts go over well. What else do I have? If you go to the Target store, you can often find little things in bulk. When I first came, I was told to bring whiskey for my cocho or my principal and my vice principal, but since I'm not a whiskey or wine connoisseur, I didn't want to give them a liquor that was maybe not valued in Japan, or if they weren't wine people, I didn't want to bring a bottle of wine to someone that maybe was a non-drinker. So if you know ahead of time that your principal loves a good whiskey or loves craft beer or something, then I think those gifts are appropriate. But if you're not sure, I would maybe steer away from that. I would also be conscious of food items, because nowadays you don't know who has allergies. You don't know if maybe someone doesn't like a certain food. Certain foods or certain candies that we may like in our country may not be something that people like abroad. For one, I remember somebody told me to bring almond roca, but those of you that know almond roca, it's really hard, and you don't want to be responsible for having someone break their tooth on the almond roca. When I first came, C's candy was really popular, but if you're coming in the heat of summer, it's the last thing you want to bring is, right, just a box of candy that could possibly melt. However, I think the lollipops or the C's candy suckers were really popular. I think they even have like the C's pops, or they were candies. Those were quite popular back in the day, but I don't know how they would go over now. A very important piece of advice I would say is, if you're bringing anything edible, whether it be savory or sweet, it's better to get things that are individually wrapped. I'll say this again. It's better to get things that are individually wrapped. The reason being is sometimes you'll bring something and it might not be eaten all in one day, and you don't want it to be thrown away. If it's individually wrapped, a lot of times it's easier to put on everyone's desk, or everybody can take it without fear of it spoiling. It's also kind of a sanitary reason or a hygienic reason. In the past, people might bring like a bag of Chex Mix, but having everybody dig their hands into something is, in Japan, not done as much, which is why you'll notice a lot of Japanese souvenirs when you go to places and you buy something to eat, everything is individually wrapped, and the wrapping sometimes can be quite decorative. Little cakes, the little rice cakes or manju, which are kind of like sweet bean cakes, are often individually wrapped. If you're going to get chocolates, it's probably better to get maybe the individually wrapped kind, like Dove. I had bought Dove one time because each wrapper had a message. For me, I kind of stay clear of chocolates because I just don't want to risk buying something that's going to melt. And even sometimes if you put it in a cold space, it might not come out looking as nice as when you first buy it at the store. If you're going to buy something savory, sometimes you can buy nice snack packs of snacks, but that can sometimes get expensive. What you may want to do is you might want to, if you're gonna get a big bulk thing, just put it in small little plastic bags, and then you could staple it or give it kind of like what you do at Halloween. And that's another idea, buying little tiny bags like you would do for Halloween and putting wrapped candies or something in it. That's really cheap and easy to do. Another thing that I did one year, and it actually kind of became my insignia omiyage, was I would go to Costco and get a big bag or a big container of fortune cookies and gave everyone a fortune cookie. That was also a good icebreaker because the fortune is written in what language? English. Who's the new English teacher? Phew. So that made it easy for people to come and say, what does this mean? What does this mean? And you could kind of tell them, oh, this is a good fortune. It means you are going to be rich, or, oh, you are going to meet someone special. Or you could like communicate that way. Cost-wise, you don't need to go out of your way to spend something on an expensive gift. And I would say, don't spend your money on an expensive gift. This is just your little introduction. The nicer, more expensive gift can come after you've worked for that person. Maybe your farewell gift. Another thing is, don't spend your money buying anything for your students. Most of the time, gifts for the students are not encouraged, especially anything edible. If you're going to bring a gift, maybe a sticker, or buy yourself a stamp pad so you can stamp your students' work on it with a nice saying like, you're doing great, or good job. Yeah, I would say people probably spend more or bring more souvenirs than they need to. And sometimes you may come here, all the extra ones you have, just save it. Maybe there'll be someone along the way that will do a nice gesture for you, and you can use that as your thank you then. I know you want to make a good impression, but your impression comes from being yourself and giving your smile and your attitude and your spirit, your high-spirited, yes, I'm ready to work, to your new school or company. I hope that helped. If you haven't, I'm looking at the clock because the chime's going to ring any minute, but if you have any ideas for a nice souvenir or something that you've brought or made that's been successful, go ahead and write them down in the comments. Until your time when you arrive here, happy shopping, happy preparing, and we will see you here soon in Japan. All right, take care. I've got class next. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.